Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Red Hoop Talk, a Native news and talk show brought to you by the Association on American Indian Affairs, the oldest nonprofit serving Indian country since 1922, back when assimilation and terminating Indians was the ice cream flavor of the day for those Republicans and Democrats up in Washington, D.C. My name is Shannon O'Loughlin. I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I'm coming to you from the homelands of the Piscataway peoples, just north of that wonderful place we call Washington, D.C. in Maryland. That damn nation we call Washington, D.C. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight, and hope you will please drop a comment, maybe subscribe to our video cast in YouTube. We're coming to you live from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and probably all the other internets out there. I am just burning a little sage. Get me a little centered and focused for our show tonight. We've got a really great show tonight. As you know, it's Women's History Month. And we're talking about Native American women's history looking forward and what we want to do as Native women looking forward. And tonight we have a great guest, KANSAS Begay. She's from the Navajo Nation. She's a singer, recording artist. She was once Miss Indian World, so we have royalty with us tonight. But let's chat first a little bit about the news this week. I think everyone's getting ready for Deb Haaland to be confirmed by the Senate tomorrow. I think there's watch parties happening. I think there's people in D.C. that are going to be getting together, social distancing, of course, to observe and watch Deb Haaland's confirmation hearing. And if you weren't aware, all the Republicans have not, of course, voted for her, but 4 important Republicans have, and that's probably how it will go down on Monday. Hey, anyone out there want to say hi? Hey, JD, nice to have you from YouTube. He is Ochete, Sakawan, Arapaho, Ute, Cheyenne, all put together. You are a wild mix there, JD. Let us know, everyone, where you're calling from. Give us a chat, say hi, and of course, subscribe on our YouTube channel. So did you all get your stimulus check yet from the big new coronavirus bill? There's been controversy as usual about it, but what's interesting is the Native American vote. There was a great article on Native News Online. We had Levi Rickert. He's the one of the publishers or editors of the newspaper on with us several months ago. I always go to Native News Online for news. I really like how they try to put out some more controversial perspectives and really force us to look at things in Indian country that sometimes we don't want to look at. There was an article about the stimulus bill and how Native American Congress people voted. And what's interesting is our Native American Congress people voted very much along their bipartisan party lines with our Democrat Congress people, Sharice Davis from Kansas, Kahile from Hawaii, and of course Deb Haaland in New Mexico, all voting yes for the stimulus bill. And then all our Republican Native Americans, that's Tom Cole, who's Chickasaw from Oklahoma, Yvette Harrell, who's Cherokee from New Mexico, and Mark Wayne Mullen, who's Cherokee also from Oklahoma, all voting no for the stimulus bill. What do you all think about that? Do you think our Native American Congress people should be working together in a more apparent way and better understanding what the Indian country needs are and voting on those lines? in addition to their state constituency. Let me know what you think. I'm really interested to see what people think about what Native American congresspersons should be doing with their votes and their advocacy on the Hill. And in other news, let's see who else is out there. Sarah, nice to see you from Holdenville, from the Muskogee Creek Nation, and Halito from Kansas, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Carrie Elizabeth. She hasn't received her stimulus check yet. We received ours. Myself, my husband, and my son received stimulus checks. And frankly, I wish we wouldn't have. We may see about donating those to a charitable cause, because we're okay. We have our jobs. We know there's people out there that don't. We know that there's people out there that are suffering much more than we are. And so it's always confusing when you see a big stimulus bill like this and how it really affects people on the ground. But I did want to talk a little bit about the coronavirus and the pandemic. It's been a freaking year now. A year ago, I was going to Los Angeles, California to be on the Joe Rogan Experience, and wasn't that an experience? And I did that as California was shutting its doors, and it was a really scary time. Coming back here, and Roy and I got this video cast started so that we could all find a place where we could come together, talk to one another, see what's going on all over Indian country, and really call out the people that are doing well in Indian country, and maybe call out those who aren't. The coronavirus weirdness, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about. Let me get my little cheat sheet out. A Seattle physician was calling out, now I can't find it, was calling out somebody. There was a vaccine that was being, all right, I can't find my article. There was a vaccine that was being tested. It's one of those one-shot vaccines. And it was tested on a small group of people and about 1,200 natives. The stats came back saying that they were getting the coronavirus 2.1 times more than other peoples of color, I believe, were, or maybe a larger population. Indian Health Service came back and said, whoa, slam on the brakes. This Seattle doctor who had wrote an op-ed about this did not have a large enough testing number. And anyway, this is a vaccine that's being tested in a limited way, and it's not the vaccines that are being given now all over Indian country, the two-shot vaccines. So if you've heard a little bit about that news, please don't misunderstand it or mischaracterize it. The vaccine that is being given in Indian country and elsewhere, the two-shot vaccine, has been thoroughly vetted and tested. I'm way down in line to get mine, and I'll get it when it's time. And it looks like things are getting better in Indian country because of the vaccines. There are some places in Indian country, 70% of their population are already fully vaccinated, which is pretty incredible. And we're seeing numbers getting better. There's still a few deaths happening. There's still pain and suffering being caused by the pandemic. But it seems like we're slowly getting out of this place that we've been in for the last year. And I hope you all are doing well. I think about you a lot, and I hope that this show can help bring some interesting people to at least your Sunday evening, and that we can all work better together in community when we get to know each other a little bit better. Hi, everyone. I see Hanako Red Eye from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Victor Perez. Hello, welcome. Welcome, everyone who's joining us tonight. And I think without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and bring on our guest, who is KANSAS Begay. She's a member of the Diné Navajo Nation, originally from Waterflow, New Mexico. She is a recording artist and an inspirational speaker. She's a Native American Music Award winner, I think twice, with 4 albums sold internationally. So we have, I know I'm not going to get into any kind of karaoke competitions with this with this lady. She's also traveled worldwide, singing in different countries like Japan and in Russia. She was named the 2013-2014 Miss Indian World, and was the first full Navajo to represent the title. And of course, she's a smart cookie too. She got her bachelor's degree from the University of New Mexico back in 2011. And without further ado, let me bring KANSAS Begay. Yay! Turn off your mute button there, KANSAS. Let us hear your wonderful voice.
Oh, yat I wanted to introduce myself in my language. Yat shikado shidine she KANSAS Kristen Begay and ishia. Ashti ishle do ho sana bashichi hashkahazoi ada shiche tachini ada shinale. Shimado shije Leonard and Dorothy Begay Willia. Shiche a Joe B. Begay Willian that do shinala a Helen Begay Willian that. Hello everybody. I hope everyone's doing great. My name is KANSAS Begay. My clans are the Red Bottom Clan, born for the Minihogans clan. I have currently from Waterflow, New Mexico. Just currently moved home to closer to the Navajo Reservation and to my family. I feel that a lot of our youth of today have decided to make those changes for themselves, and have realized that a lot of us, this is the generation that they told us to go out into the world and get an education, but to come back and to help out our people and to become beautiful community members and to make changes within our own communities. So I really feel that connection towards my community, which is the northern Navajo, New Mexico area, which is Shiprock area, so in Hogback. So I just really wanted to acknowledge my people and everybody that is joining the show today.
All right. Thank you so much, KANSAS. And thanks for taking some time to visit with us tonight. So tell us a little bit about going back home. I think your mom, right, lives next door.
Yeah, my mom lives next door. She loves it. My parents, my mom and dad, they both love it. We've been renovating the other house, and so it's really great to be able to just go walk next door and have lunch with them. And, you know, especially through this year, it's been very, very hard, I think, for a lot of families because we're not, you know, seeing each other as much as we used to. I was really, you know, impacted myself because I have a really strong connection and close relationship with my parents and with our culture and our traditions. It was very hard for me to really not see them in person, you know, and I think a lot of families are that way right now, you know, not being able to have those holidays together, you know, that you're used to, your mom's cooking, you know, just getting a hug, you know, from your family is very, very powerful for a lot of people these days. And, you know, I'm very, very thankful to have my parents, and they both got vaccinated fully. So I'm really happy that they were able to do that in the community there. Also that we did lose somebody. We did lose my grandmother, my Nully lady, this past year. So she was 85 when she passed. So it was really sad. It was really hard, especially because we couldn't gather together as well because she did die of COVID. So that's a really detrimental piece, big matriarch, and it was one of my last elders that I had in my life. So that was very hard for us as a family. So
we're so
really
sorry.
Hard. Yeah, thank you.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's been really hard, especially with my music, because a lot of my music reflects on family. I have some songs about my grandmother and so my Nully, so it's really hard to bring those songs back again and to re-sing them. So, but yeah, I'm blessings for everybody, whoever had lost family members through this pandemic, prayers for each and every one of them and for their families. And hopefully, they find comfort and, really good blessings from everybody, however way that you smudge, possibly whatever your traditional culture tells you to do. I hope that you take time for yourself in that way.
Yes. And even if you have a vaccine, when you go out, please continue to wear a mask because you are protected with your wonderful vaccine. But other people who haven't been able to get a vaccine yet are not protected. So you could still be a carrier. So please be sure that you're always taking the social distancing and all that seriously. Just a little public message in between. Some fun here. So did you grow up at Navajo or just around New Mexico?
I lived basically just the border. It's seriously just like a rock throw. Waterflow and Hogback is in the Navajo Reservation, and Waterflow is not on the Navajo Reservation, but just like I said, just a rock throw away. So I don't know, I guess. Technically I didn't grow up on the Navajo Reservation, but it was right there. So we had the same life experiences. My cousins just lived not too far down the road. So, it wasn't really that much of a difference, honestly.
All right. So tell me how much you love mutton. So let's talk about all the stereotypes in Navajo.
Oh, yes. Love our picadillies. Recently, that's a new one. The SR Navajo, our fry bread. Another controversy is a Navajo taco. We call it Navajo tacos area.
Y'all have the little Navajo, right? It's like a little fry bread. They're like little and more puffy. Is that y'all's fry bread?
No.
Is it?
No, that's Bannock. I think what you're talking about is something like Bannock or something.
Okay.
Yeah. No, ours are the big ones.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hell, I just haven't been out anymore. I don't know what fry bread's like anymore.
Yeah. And so I make that a lot at home. I live right where everybody goes to pick up their lamb and mutton. It's just right there. It's so funny. So in Navajo, my location that they had called it, I learned back in high school because I didn't know it, because every location has a Navajo name. And in Waterflow, they had said that it's Chini Chi. So I guess the trading post there, because there's several trading posts right there. And I guess the man was a white guy, and he was very mean, I guess, and he would get mad. So his face would turn red. So that name is basically called the Red Devil because of that man, I guess, that was mean. So it's so funny. I try not to say that's where I'm from in Navajo, or else I could say Kahe Dant Nasha, so which means sweet meat, which is the mutton store right there too. So I live like right where everybody on the Navajo Reservation gets their mutton, honestly. So everybody knows those areas. They're very historical. They've been there for many, many, many years, and people still shop there. They have even a trading post there that my family knows very well now, that they're not mean. But we grew up, going to their store, walking there every day. So, it's a nostalgic area for us.
And did you hear that NASA is naming, I think something on Mars, a large rock or some kind of unique place on Mars with a Navajo word?
Yeah. I think I said Muzz. Yeah, so I think it's just talking about the shape of it, basically. Is it kind of roundish, sort of like, I think I had seen. And everybody was laughing. Even when the first Mars reports were coming out, everybody was like, oh, this looks like right here in Monument Valley. Oh, this looks like this place in Tuba City, all over the Navajo Reservation, because everything looked very similar to our Navajo Reservation. We're like, oh, we could live there. We're like, we've done it for years, so we know how to live on Mars. Everyone always laughs.
Well, hey, maybe those those ancient astronaut stories are true then. Maybe the Navajo, y'all are the aliens.
Yeah,
You came
yeah,
back.
we are. I would say that I know I keep up with Ancient Aliens as well.
Oh my gosh, the guy with the hair just like he kills me. Yeah.
I always see my husband and I. We always see this meme, and it's with this cat, this little kitten. He's all aliens with an AW instead of an AL. He's going like this because that guy likes to do that with his hands.
Yeah, that's a weird show. I think some of it's really interesting and I think it's a little bit overboard, but
Yeah.
oh well, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Talk about what it was like growing up at Navajo, and you know, what made you decide to go to UNM,
Oh,
and what
okay.
did you think growing up? Where did you want to be when you got older?
Yeah. I think definitely. Well, first of all, was one of my goals was becoming Miss Indian World. That's something that I had always wanted to do ever since I was young. I started off as Miss Moccasin, which is the Hogback chapter, which is a really small community. And then I started off with the Miss Northern Navajo Teen, which I was that. And so that's for the Northern Agency on the Navajo Reservation. The Navajo Reservation is based in about 3 states. Towards Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. So our Navajo reservation is pretty big, so we kind of quadrant them into different regions. So the northern agency is up towards northern New Mexico, basically, in the corner of Four Corners. So a lot of people like to go to Four Corners right there, and that's
How
that.
how long has Miss Indian World been going on?
Miss Indian World has been going on for about 50, I guess I was the 53rd Miss
Wow.
Indian World. So this is with the Gathering of Nations powwow
Mhm.
that is held in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which unfortunately hasn't been going on lately. So it's kind of sad because there's a lot of young women that were vying for the title these past few years, and it was canceled. So it's really hard to see that legacy not continuing right now. A lot of my other Miss Indian World sisters really, support these women that have that dream as well, because it really did empower us through many different ways of being able to make connections with our communities, to learn about other cultures and be and visit them. A lot of these opportunities as being Miss Indian World is you take care of your people, you take care of your community, you provide cultural preservation support, and a lot of my goals during the year as I was Miss Indian World in was going to be cultural preservation and higher education. So I really kind of talked to a lot of young women and men about furthering their education in the world, whether that was if they got per cap or not. And some families, did see that, but they wanted to extend their education and make something out of themselves. So it was really great to bring this culture to each and every one of them, because a lot of youth think that their culture is the only one that's this way, but to brighten their views and show them that there's more cultures out there, in the United States in particular, that they possibly need to learn more about. So it's just really nice to share that with each culture and tribe that I've been to and visited, in the United States and also in different areas in Canada.
Do you mind if I show a video
Yeah,
from your crowning? Is
yeah,
that
let's
okay?
show them the video, and then they can see the different cultural pieces that Miss Indian World creates.
Okay, let me get it up here. Let's make sure I have got. I may not be able to have the volume. All right, hold on. I've got to make sure that the volume is going to happen here. All right, let's see. Let me know if you can hear this. I'm not sure if the volume's coming through.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, so I don't think it's doing it. All right, hold on just a second. I'm going to bring it into a different browser real quick. Sorry about this, people. everybody.
The Miss Indian World Pageant span of about 7 days from beginning to end. We do the first part of it is there we go.
Yeah, hold on. I think I've got it now. I am going to share audio, Chrome tab, and there we go. All right, here we go.
Travel from far, gathering of nations.
The 2013 Miss Indian World Competition. Let's hear it for all of our contestants. But most importantly, let's hear it for our friends and family who have been supporting these young women for the past couple months. Friends and family.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Is there any Native Americans out there? Let's make some noise.
Just a few.
My name is Jessica Groin Thunder. I come from the Tatanka Oyate. I come from the Fort Peck, Assiniboine, and Sioux tribes of Palmer, Montana.
Yat a she April yat inisha, touching inisha, Nasteja Dana Bashishin, Zena Geniera Shiste, Nasteja Dana Ada Schnelle.
Mijikie Tamok Dijna Kaz Bajuto Tem no Kamegwaning Dunji. Happy Washte Ryan Wai Imachi happy.
We are known as life givers. We have the greatest ability and the greatest gift to create and bring life into this world.
My name is Alexis Aguilar, and tonight I'm going to be demonstrating how to make Ishin Shishat. This fabric right here, it's pushing the two ropes out, the buck sheet, the ropes, and it's holding up the fabric. You put the baby right here. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Kishki te the Michifwe. I am proud to be Métis.
There is a salmon and a killer whale on my blanket. This is to represent that I am from the Gitland band from the Tsimshian Nation.
So please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Jessie Brandt.
Yahne saga ni hoderi hodo ne genealogy ahudi ni ne ne nuasota ne ona wa undo hatste. And he threw it into the nighttime sky so that now our grandmother moon, Yuki Sota Wasantaneka Garakwa, watches down on us for all time.
My
name is Channing Concho, Yaisima, and I am here representing my Hopi, Acoma, Laguna Pueblo tribes.
Jum japa chichamayo chukwi jum. Jum japa chichamayo chukwi jum.
Ilo shay wasina, oh we ho, hey wasina, hey ho. Everyone, my name is KANSAS Begaye, and I am of the Diné Nation. My clans are the Red Bottom clan, born for the Mini Hogans clan. Tonight, I will be presenting the Kinelda ceremony, which is the coming of age ceremony. During this ceremony, we are taught many things, many skills in everything that we do. Especially, learning that from this ceremony, we have changing woman or asana glehe during this ceremony. During this ceremony, we have many blessings, and I can recall running towards the east direction. Jonigo, Nilyanga, Nijonigo, Nilya, Nelia, Nelia, Janina, ay, Neyo, wo. From my legs all the way to my arms. I believe this is where the concept of walk-in beauty comes from, or Hajona Sha, that as a Diné woman, I am strong, unique, and beautiful. So if you would please repeat with me, because I believe each and every one of you are all of these things. I am strong, unique, and beautiful. Thank you. Ekehet. Yahweh!
Representing the Diné Nation, ladies and gentlemen.
From Waterflow, New Mexico, Kansas Begay.
Excited? The new Miss Indian world? How about that gathering of nations? It's Diné!
Big round of applause.
Ayat A!
Always an emotional. It's always emotional for me to watch it.
Yeah, what does that make you feel like now? Like 8 years later, what does it make you feel like?
It definitely is. I can feel everything and remember all of the little things. All of the women that were at the pageant, you know, they were all so beautiful, and I still actually talk to them to this day. It was definitely a beautiful experience to be there, and just also to share cultural knowledge with each and every one of us as young women and from our own communities, to find that similarity. And being crowned as Miss Indian World was, you know, definitely a big, you know, accomplishment for me, something that I've always wanted my whole life, and to just really take that opportunity to be that was really amazing. You know, it was once in a lifetime experience.
So how did you, because I never knew that Miss Indian World existed until I, you know, started going to powwows and started understanding a little more about powwows and competitions. So what was it that made that something that you wanted all your life?
I think it's because I grew up in pageants. Definitely it started from that point. So I'll go into the fact of how I started even singing in the first place. Was my parents, my mom one day, well, we have the big Shiprock Fair, which you can also play a video on that a little bit later. But the big Shiprock Fair is huge, and it's one of our harvesting of the year, and it's usually held in October. And October for our Navajo Nation is Galajit, and that means the new year. So we have a new year in October all the time. So anyways, there was a big fair going on, and there was a big parade, and I was probably about 10, and I told my mom, I want to be in the parade, because I guess I had heard that some kids from my school were going to be in the parade, and I was like, I want to be in the parade. And so my parents were like, my mom was like, you can't just be in the parade. What are you going to do? You have to represent something. So lo and behold, like a week later, she brought back an application, and I ran for my community chapter princess there pageant. and I had won. It was the first time I ever ran for anything, and so I started from there. And then I went on to even being Miss Indian Teen World, which is also another one. It's funny that I'm actually here at Salt Lake. I was crowned in Salt Lake it was a long time ago already, I feel like, but I mean, it was during the Winter Olympics when they had the Miss Indian Teen World pageant. And that's when I was crowned out here. So it's kind of unique that I'm here. But I also later on ventured to become Miss Indian World. So that was a really great accomplishment that I had, been there for that exact moment. And it was actually my second time running for Miss Indian World. The first time that I ran, I wasn't anywhere near, being runner-up or anything like that. The second time I had finished my education at UNM and was a little bit more established in what I wanted to do and why I wanted to become Miss Indian World. It's definitely a humbling experience. We call Miss Indian World a living being because we feel as Indian Worlds that she takes care of us every year, that she chooses, who this title goes to. We feel because when we're chosen for a reason. Maybe our community needed us. Maybe our community needed that Miss Indian World to be there in that one area, and needed that one girl to be there for that community. So, it's a really humbling experience, something that I, was very happy to be serving as, and it was beautiful. Yeah. So Miss Indian World is definitely there for all of our women.
Wow. So how is a Native American pageant, what happens in a Native American pageant versus, I mean, most of us have had some kind of understanding of what happens in, regular Miss USA. I remember my mom putting me, she was one of those crazy Oklahoma moms, and she would try to get me into everything. And so I was in some pageant, and I think I was the first runner-up in Miss Congeniality because I wasn't that pretty. So,
oh no, I don't believe that.
but it's a much different thing than what happens with Native American pageants. So what happens? Like, how are you judged, and what is it? And what happens after someone's been crowned? What is it that you do for that year? So can you talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, sure. So in particular, the Miss Indian World pageant, we are actually judged on several different levels. We do a personal interview. We do the traditional talent, which is the most unique piece of it, is us talking about our culture and our traditions. We do a public speaking where we get asked questions randomly. We have to have a few seconds to answer them. But also we have the dance competition, which is in the powwow arena, and we get to bring our own cultural dances that we have that are unique to us and try and infuse them with all of the powwow music as well as intertribal. And then we also have the personal interviews. So there's a lot of different aspects with that part. But for instance, for the other local, like the Navajo pageants are very, very unique also. The Navajo pageants, I feel like, are one of the harder ones because we are expected to speak fluent Navajo. In those competitions, we are expected to know our cultural teachings. We are also, like, for instance, the Miss Navajo pageant, they actually butcher a sheep in the competition and make.
That's what I want to see in Miss USA. I want to see some blonde-haired women in a bikini.
They have to be their own fire. They make fry bread right from the beginning. Yeah, so some of those other advanced Navajo pageants are like that. They're very, very unique and very hard. Even with the Miss Northern Navajo Teen pageant that I had done, that I had gotten the title for as well. That one was very culturally significant. We have to wear our best, Navajo outfits. We're critiqued from head to toe. Our hair has to be in our Navajo bun, the way that we have them, that I was doing in the video of tying her hair. Also, our moccasin wrappings have to be there, and we call them KANSAS. So usually our moccasins are big, and they have padding in them. So from head to toe, we have to have our sash belts on. So, you know, it's a real, you know, interesting pageant to be a part of. And, you know, cooking, you know, is definitely one that, you know, we show off, that there is like a cooking competition piece in there.
And are there any other Native nations that have their own competitions like Navajo does?
Yes, there is. I've been to a lot, actually. Being royalty, I've been invited to many other pageants in different cultures. So like White Mountain Apache, I've been to Hickory Apache. I know they have a Miss Acoma Pueblo pageant, and they do have Miss Seminole of Florida. They have a Miss Seminole, Florida. Schools, a lot of Native schools will have a pageant. In Farmington, there's Navajo Preparatory School, Miss Hajona Shah. So I have a lot of my friends that were royalty as well. So as we say, we have pageant sisters as well throughout the reign, because we all hold titles around that same time frame, and we see each other at different gatherings. So throughout the year afterwards, you attend cultural events, you attend a lot of community events like Christmas dinners, you know, you talk to children a lot. A lot of times we are ambassadors for our culture, for our community. And, you know, we try to, you know, some of us like me, you know, I talk about suicide prevention, I talk about cultural preservation. I do a lot of different speaking pieces in my topics to really help with the community. And especially, you know, I feel like also me being a Native recording artist is a whole nother aspect as well of me, other than the pageant side of everything. So I combined both together very uniquely because it was really influential, because I feel like, you know, there would be times where I would come into a big old school auditorium, and, you know, there's kids laughing, talking to each other. And right when I get on the podium, or I have a microphone and I start singing, they get quiet, you know, and that's like the coolest part. And I really, really miss the one-on-one, the big like performances, because you get to range, you know, hear people talking, you get to hear little kids singing along with you. And, you know, just it's such a wonderful thing that I hope that one day we'll be able to come back to doing again.
And it sounds like it's really a way for young women to stay close to culture and work in community in a much different kind of way than the U.S. pageant system works. It's not about, you know, objectifying women, comparing them to each other physically and by superficial means, but really it's about uplifting women who can share about their culture. But do you see, I mean, I think about powwow sometimes, and we know that came out of our inability to practice our ceremonies, our inability to dance in the ways we were supposed to dance. And they became competition, which I don't know, but from what I've been told, I mean, I could be wrong, is we used to not compete. I don't 100% believe that, because I think there were, I think people, our societies gave each other accolades and lifted up people who were successful at doing whatever their role was. But the kind of competition for money or for fame or a title seems to be a little bit different than what our traditions are. So what do you think about that, considering our history kind of being pushed into Western thinking and competition and for money and for title? Like, how does that color Miss Indian World and the other Native pageants? Or do you think it just isn't the same? Or maybe you've taken it, Indian country has taken it and made it its own?
I think so. I think Indian country has definitely taken it and made it its own. And also too, you know, we have to think about the society that we're in and how that will fit and how we have to evolve along with the time to be relevant and to continue to be relevant. You know, it would be great to do the traditional aspect of everything, but a lot of those traditional aspects too need to be done in their own families a lot of times without people watching. You know, some of them are very sacred and aren't for the world. Some things are, you know, only kept within that traditional ceremonial piece, you know. For instance, I know a lot of the Pueblo groups, they definitely have certain times where they do allow outside people to come in and watch, but they don't allow them to film, they don't allow them to take photos. And then there are times where they close off their pueblos and they don't allow anybody and they do their own traditional doings there without any other outside viewers. You know, that's what you call sacred. That's what you call being traditional. Same with us on the Navajo Reservation. You know, our ceremonies are different from having a powwow. You know, having a powwow isn't our Navajo culture. You know, our Navajo culture is totally different. Our Navajo culture consists of any type of dances, is our Yebache dancers, which are during the Shiprock Fair, I think what I had talked about. And so those are during the times that they come out and they dance and bring in the winter. So the Yebache dancers for us bring in the winter. It's an end for the season and bringing in the snow, the change of the seasons.
And I'm sure at the pageants that the women who are sharing ceremony are sharing shareable ceremony and culture. And I saw in there someone from probably one of the Iroquois nations with lacrosse, and there was someone from the must have been Inca Aztec or some sharing dance. So it's not just, is it all of North America? There was a Manatee woman as well. So is it all of North America?
We had, I know a few years ago as well, had gotten some women from New Zealand even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and I know definitely that there's Native people all over the world and it's welcoming to them if they want to compete. That they've had international women compete for this pageant as well.
Wow. Wow, so maybe it will soon be titled Miss Indigenous World.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I know. I conflict honestly myself with the title. So, but I'm like, that would be great. Maybe someone's going to revamp it. You never know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So let's talk about your music.
Yeah.
And I from what I've heard you sing a lot of what sounds to me to be more traditional songs, but you don't always keep them in a traditional form.
Yeah.
I have one song up of you from the fair, from the Navajo Fair. Do you mind if I play it?
Sure, sure.
Let me pop it up here. All right, here we go. Hope I have to push play.
Hello everybody. It is that time again. It is fair time. I just wanted to let all of you know to be careful, be safe. Please don't drink and drive. Watch your children and don't text and drive. I believe through all of the things that we are doing as Diné people, we're always trying to be positive, and we're all we're family. And as they say, as Hojonasha, we all walk in beauty. So I really believe that, and so to be kind to one another.
Uh-oh.
And to say nice things to one another, because you know we are only human. And so I just hope you guys all enjoy yourselves there and be safe and get home safely. I'm going to sing this song. I haven't really recorded it or played it out loud anywhere, so enjoy. Hey, hey, young, hey, hey, young, Rayana Hio, Wayo, hey, 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 Rayana Hio, Wayo, hey, 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 Rayana Hio, Wayo, hey, 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 young Rayana Hio, Wayo, hey, 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 Rayana Hio, Wayo, hey, 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 Rayana Hio. Way, oh, hey, 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 young, it's that good old time again. Oh, way, hey, 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 Kanish busy, cat meal, away, hey, 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 young, rodeo carnival, yay, bitch, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young, way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young, Kanish busy, cat meal, away, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young, way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young, it's that good old time again. Away, hey, 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 Kanish busy, cat meal, away, hey, 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 young, rodeo carnival, yay, bitch, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young, way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 way, way, oh, hey, 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 young. Hopefully you guys have a good day. Yeah, it's hello. I think we can't hear you.
I'm like, wow, and then you can't hear me. You have a beautiful voice, Kansas. Thank you so much. That's just beautiful. No, what do they call that? That tone correction, no digital synthesizing that your voice has to go through like so much pop music. I mean, just a beautiful traditional voice. So what kind of songs do you like to sing? What's your favorite song to sing?
I think it depends kind of on the time frame. But I really did want to, I also have another song that I can usually sing just a cappella without the drum or anything like that. So there's one that I wanted to share since I had brought it up with my grandmother. So this is kind of a Native American church song, but it's definitely in our Navajo language. Shenalenatis kes nijono behinala. Shenalenatis kes nijono behinala. Shenalenatis kes nijono behinala. Nijono behinala. Wiana heine. Shenalenatis kes nijono behinala. Nijono behinala. Wiana heine. Neyoa, Shenalenatis kes, Nijono behinala, Shenalenatis kes, Nijono behinala, Shenalenatis kes, Nijono behinala, Nijono behinala, Wiana heine, Shenalenatis kes, Nijono behinala, Nijono behinala, Wiana heine yoa. Shenalenatis kes, Nijono behinala, Shenanigans cast, Nijono Behinala. Shenanigans cast, Nijono Behinala. Nijono Behinala. Riana Hene. Shenanigans cast, Nijono Behinala. Nijono Behinala. Riana Hene. Yoa.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, that one was definitely in remembrance of my grandmother and just how we think of her every day. So for all of you that have your grandparents and your grandmothers, you know, that's definitely a song for them as well.
That's beautiful. It made me feel full of joy. It made me feel full of joy what you were singing. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, so with my music, so I do have 4 albums out. My first one is actually was created when I was about 16. I started recording, and that was the one that was nominated for Best Independent Record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for the Native American Music Awards. And that year I was awarded the Rising Star Award. And so that was a really great experience as well with my music to kind of take off in that route. I started off independently recording and then went on into a label for a little bit. And that was with the Native Rose CD. And a lot of people see that one online a lot, I think. And that one was sold very internationally. That was with the record label at the time was Soar Records with Tom B. So I, you know, and then I went back into my own independent recorded music, and I also play flute as well. So those are a lot of different music pieces that I sing.
Yeah, and so tell me about this picture I want to show. Tell me about this flute.
Oh yeah. I know I was traveling, so I wasn't able to pack it. But this is my triple flute. I started playing the flute also when I was about 16. And so this is a triple flute. This has 3 different holes in the top, and then it has the keys on the bottom. It really harmonizes well together when it's played together. So it's a really nice and beautiful sound. I believe one of my songs, you can hear me playing in the beginning of it. And you'll get to hear the difference between them. It's a really, really nice, soothing sound a lot of people like to use. One of my albums, also a lot of massage therapists and different areas like to play it because it's very soothing and relaxing. So I really like that, you know, we're able to use those pieces of everything, you know, but yeah.
And the way this flute works, I mean, I'm looking at the finger holes, and there's one, it looks like one that has a lower openings on it, and then the one in the middle has most of the openings on it. I mean, how are you moving around your hands as well? I mean, I wish I had a video of you playing this.
I know. I
really
could have
neat looking.
Yeah, I could have been playing it. I'm trying to think. I think, well, you probably won't be able to see it really that up close. I was like, I do have videos of me playing it on YouTube, but I think a lot of them are far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I should have brought it. So I didn't get to bring it today. But yeah, normally the middle piece is the main piece, and then the third is kind of like the bottom 3. So it kind of just holds together when I'm playing it. So it's really, really interesting sound.
Wow. That's incredible. That's beautiful. Has that been a type of flute that has been around for a while, or is it something that kind of been invented?
Yeah, I think that's something very unique that people started making, I guess, like that. I think I've seen a lot of the double flutes.
Mm-hmm.
The triple one is another one, and it's a very unique sound compared to the singular and the two-sided double.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. In native flute playing, do you know much about the history of native flute playing?
A little bit. I kind of do. I've heard a lot of different stories about it. Of course, I think I've heard a lot of the ones where like it's usually the male that's playing, and that they'll sing it to bring a woman close by, like a love song. You know, I've heard some of those ones, but for our Navajo stories, we don't really have a lot of stories on them that I have come across. But we do have a lot of flute players on the Navajo Reservation as well.
Wow. Yeah. Well, everyone knows Carlos Nagai, right?
Yeah. So it's always nice to see them too. I run into a lot of other recording artists as well. So it's always nice to see them.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And there are different types of flutes all over Indian country. What's interesting to me in music is I don't know that there's a bagpipe in the Western Hemisphere. Like there's a lot of other cultures that have had a bladder type instrument that they used for air, but I've never seen it in this hemisphere. Some kind of bagged instrument like a bagpipe or something like that to play.
Yeah, I haven't either, really. I think I was going to say something about the music though, and I lost my train of
I
thought.
took it in another direction to pipes because
that's what it was. Talking about flute and other cultures. When I went to Japan a while back, I had even traded. There was an Ainu person out there who was a flute player as well for their tribe, and he had his flute in it, and the top of the piece was a whale. So we actually traded flutes. So he has one of my Navajo made flutes, and I have one of their Japanese flutes. So that was cool.
Well, so where can people find you online? What's the best place to learn more about Kansas and what she's doing? And I'm talking like we're in the third person, but what you're doing, and if you have any shows coming up, or if people can watch you live, or what's the best place?
It's usually my Facebook is a really good tool. My Facebook has a lot of references. I have my personal Facebook, and I also have a Facebook page. So my page, I try to keep that updated a lot and just kind of share different kind of things that are going on in Native country all over the world sometimes. But, you know, I really try to share a lot of my music in there. I do announce when I do have different events going on and coming up. It's definitely, you know, become less this past year, of course, because of the pandemic. I'm really kind of sad to see that, because there's a lot of Native recording artists, Native performers, Native comedians that, used to possibly make their living off of being a performing artist. And because of the pandemic, it's really kind of shut that down for a lot of people. So I really hope that, in the future that it picks back up and we do continue with our music, sharing our culture, laughing with everybody. That's always, as Native people know, laughing is definitely medicine for a lot of people. And, a lot of our songs sometimes are humorous as well. So this one I think is my personal page. So this one's a really great one. This has my information about, what I'm doing. You can probably click on, so some of my photos there with the other Miss Indian Worlds. So I really like to share a lot of different kind of things. Sometimes it's humorous, sometimes they're public announcements. And that one's really great to follow me on. And that's one of my photos as Miss Indian World. I was like, it's so funny that came out that way. We went on top of an old airport area in Albuquerque, and it was raining, and we got that sunset just right. And it's funny when you take photos and they come out just exactly what you needed. It's always a nice thing to see when they have that. That piece. Oh, if you want to click on this other photo in the corner, go up a little bit. Go up. Yeah, right there with the plaque, like it's a circle. in the corner bottom.
Corner bottom. There we go.
That's actually with the Native American Music Awards when I had received my Rising Star award, and that was in Florida, in Hollywood area. Well, actually, no, it's not Hollywood. Sorry, it's the Seminole side of Florida. Yeah, Hollywood. It's the Hollywood casino and hotel resort there. That's
Beautiful.
what it was.
Beautiful. So what are your plans for the future? What is it that you want to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think definitely I've moved back home for a reason because I really want to make some changes in our communities, wanted to be able to become a leader in a different way than I had served before. But as possibly running for a chapter president, possibly, or, within the state of New Mexico, possibly the district, so I'm really looking forward to making those changes and helping out in the community as much as I can. I just moved back, so I'm like, okay, how else can I help and, be there and help out with a lot of things. I really hope that, a lot of our community will be able to have some good impact with my help.
Ah, that's wonderful. And I'm sure your family is really grateful to have you back.
Yes, yeah. I think, a lot of issues with the Navajo Nation right now is, this pandemic, it took us by surprise. I think a lot of different tribes were taken by surprise and realizing that we didn't have the infrastructure that was needed. And so I think that call to coming home was very impactful because of it, realizing that we do need help. Our cultures and our communities need this help. All of us that did get their education and have their specialties in certain things need to come home and help revitalize everything that's going on to make a better future for our children to come, the new generation, to be there and to really help them to get to where they need to be.
For sure. So are there any plans to make any more recordings?
I don't know, actually. That's unfortunately, I feel like it's another dying art because a lot of things are online. And so in a way, the amount of money it takes to produce an album compared to selling it nowadays is a little different. So you really would need to have a good financial background to really just kind of push it out there and sell it. But a lot of people just copy albums nowadays, so it's kind of hard. So I kind of like to have my albums because I actually have them physically and I sign them. So right now I kind of have a full loading of my albums that I have. So we'll see. People keep asking. They've been, let's just say probably they've been waiting for the last 10 years for me to create another album, but it's been hard. It's hard to create new music, especially Native Navajo music, because you have to figure out what everybody's listening to these days and want to listen to. But I always say, music, I feel, is the key to language because it's repetitive. You start learning how to say certain words in Navajo or in your own language, whatever music that you listen to, that's your cultural music, just put it in and start singing along with it. Soon enough, you start getting that dialect, if you have an accent when you speak your language, that kind of goes away because you're learning how to say these words phonetically, correctly, usually in music. So I always say that music is a very good key and tool to learning your language.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I don't know that I've, or I can't think of any right now of Native nations that are using music as a major element of their language programs. Now, music tends to be, there's vocables. So there's a Native music that's more about vocables and not so much about the language itself. But in Navajo, is your traditional music, is it using language? Is it more vocables?
It's a little bit of both. I'd say more language though. Yeah, usually because I would say our language is kind of musical in a way too.
Yeah.
Because you can't say a word high tone, or else it'll mean something else. So you have to like use it a certain way when you use a word. So it'll mean two different things if you say it wrong. So,
hey, do you feel comfortable? I'm going to ask you this question, and I love to hear about it, and that's why I'm asking you. I love it when I hear about. I learned about it in school as a lawyer, going to law school, about what it meant to walk in beauty, about what the beauty way was, because it's actually expressed in Navajo law, in the legal code, in the Constitution. And it is to me, it's something that as a Native person with a law background, I really look up to, because that's how I want to see Native nations practice their laws. I want to see us going back to our original traditions and cultures and expressing those, whether it's through a kind of whether it's a three-branch government like the U.S. government, or however, but to start there. And so, would you tell us a little bit about what the Beauty Way is? Is that putting you on the spot?
No.
Thank you.
Actually, let's see. I have a slide in here. So let's see. I might be able to share my screen a little bit. Let's see. So yeah. I talk about this in my presentations that I do on the Navajo Reservation. So let me see. Oops. Let me see. Okay, so I can share my screen. So let me get that quickly. Hold on.
No problem. We need hold music or something here. This is where we need your singing to be in the.
Yeah, to have my singing going. Okay.
Yep, I'd never do karaoke with you, Kansas. I'm sorry. I'd never. If you're there, I would not go there. I'd go somewhere else.
I'm like, come on. I love hearing karaoke singers. Honestly, they'll always surprise you. Do you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so I have broken it up into terms because the word hojon means many things. So it means happiness, beauty, family, love, compassion. And so the word separately, nasha, is walking, it's a path, it's a future, it's a blessing. So when you put them together as hojon nasha, so when you put hojon nasha, walk in beauty, that's what that means. But it means more than that. It means take care of yourself. The path that you are on, your ancestors set forth before you. They created this, and you have so many prayers before you were born that within our ancestors had said with this corn pollen. So usually that's with the basket there's corn pollen in there. And so they usually use that corn pollen and go towards the east direction. And we pray early in the morning before the sun comes up. And then we say hojon nasha. So as we say hojon nasha, we use this in different kind of ways, and being able to talk about them and be able to really be able to listen to one another, as being hojon is in peaceful and happiness. So I have a lot of different slides on there as well. So
I mean, that's almost, today, I think the mainstream culture calls it mindfulness. But to walk in beauty, to me, is something so much deeper. And it's not a superficial beauty, but it's about, I think Kansas accidentally hung up on herself. But from what I always understood about walking in beauty and the Beauty Way, and those of you who are Navajo, please feel free to speak up on the chat right now, because I am definitely not an expert on this. I'm Choctaw, remember? As we wait for Kansas to come back, here she comes. There you are.
didn't like click it. I was changing things out in my view, and I was like, no, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay.
It's okay. It happens. It happens. But I was just talking about how the beauty way is something so much more substantive, and it's about that connection with the earth, and walking in beauty is almost like walking in sacredness. It's like understanding the beauty and being grateful for all that we have around us. I mean, that's why I chose this backdrop for today. I chose it for you, Kansas.
Yeah.
You know, we have so much beauty around us that we often forget about, and I think the beauty way is such a, it's more than just an ideal. I mean, it's a practice. It's a cultural practice of the Navajo.
It definitely is. And, you know, the concept of Pageant really does take a cultural step, because in our prayers, that's how we say things. Even the word Yate, our greeting is hello, doesn't actually mean just hello. It also means I'm good, you know, I'm great, I'm happy. So in Navajo, sometimes they ask you, how are you doing? If they ask you, how are you doing in Navajo, you say, it's, oh, yeah, I'm doing good. So you can say that way when you greet somebody, say, oh, so shike, and even that word ke is family for us. So ke is everything around us. So, and as they say, nama nahasan, so they say the earth, you know, all of that comes together. So our words in our Navajo language are definitely descriptive, and it means more than one thing when you say it. So you can use it in several different ways in a sentence, honestly.
Right. And it shows how important it is to how language really shapes your perspective of the world. I mean, if you grow up and that's your language, and you're talking about everything around you as family, as kin, as relationship, and walking with that relationship in beauty, I mean, oh my God. I mean, that to me, it sounds like utopia. But if you think about indigenous peoples throughout this country and this hemisphere, many who had similar connections and relationships to the land, that has been completely either erased or irreparably damaged, or we've been removed from our original places and homelands where that language made sense, right? Where it was connected. You know, why it's so important that we protect our languages and those mindsets that come with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, not to mention our Navajo code talkers that was able to use the language, you know, in, I guess, saving our country, you know. And so I really see that significance. It's funny because, you know, the words that they used were words from home. And unless you were from that community, you were from that era, you knew where they were talking about. You know, even if they translated it, they wouldn't know where the mutton stand is. I mean, they wouldn't know that rock, potato rock, or something like that, you know, in Navajo is that. And, you know, so there's so many things that, you know, I really like that, you know, the United States had to recognize with our own tribes that we are valuable, that our cultures and our languages are very unique. And that's what makes us, you know, indigenous, I feel. You know, a lot of people ask, what does it mean to be indigenous? What does it mean to be Native American, to be an Indian of some sort? So really, I think what that is really your culture, your language, your family, as they say, is in also your traditional teachings of how your people came about. You know, everybody has an origin story. And our origin stories, you know, delegate how we run our societies within the tribe. You know, the Navajo Nation is a matrilineal society. So a lot of our culture is based off of our women. You know, our clan system is based off of our women, and our deities is changing women. Asana Glehi, so she represents women in our Navajo culture. So she is the one that was the first being, as they say, that was created on the Navajo Reservation with the holy people. And she's the one that we had the first ceremony as Hojonjisin, and the Hojonji way is through the Navajo Kinalta, which is our women coming of age ceremony. That was the first one that they say when we were created is the first ceremony ever been in the world. So that's what we hold and carry strong with our culture, is our, cultural matriarchal society.
And so how do you feel about being a Navajo woman? I mean, what does that mean to you?
So they say, that's a woman in our saying, and it means, that you are basically the caretaker of your family. You're the backbone of the family. You have this intellect that runs the family basically, and that no matter what happens, your matriarchal, your culture, your words, your thinking will always be in this next generation. And so you being a strong person really shapes the time to come. I had back in when I went to school, because I have my degree in Native American Studies, I had seen this philosophy, and it's called the 4-generational thinking. So the 4-generational thinking philosophy is basically the fact that the generations before you, your mother and your grandparents, they made these decisions on behalf of you. However that they lived their life, it impacted to the way that you are today. Same thing with yourself, the way that you are today. If you live within that 4-generational thinking, you are making decisions at this point in time for the generation to come, whether you do have children or you don't, but you're impacting this next generation to come within your family line. Because let's just say you move somewhere and you live there, you're going to always live there. And so you're creating this history on behalf of yourself, and you always want to think, how do I want to be remembered in my life? What do I sum up to when they talk about me when I'm gone? Those kind of thoughts of the generational thinking of what kind of footsteps are you leaving behind for everybody else?
Yeah. Wow. I almost, this is really a wonderful conversation, Kansas. And I just lost my train of thought.
No.
We were talking about what it means to be Navajo woman, and how that who you are impacts your future, and those behind you impacts us today. And I think we're really in a special time right now in Indian country and in this world. How do you think you and your nation are impacting the world today?
I think our nation and the way that we're impacting the world, I think it really has to do with being able to see the different cultures. I think being able to really enlighten everybody and bring cultural perspective into the world. Unfortunately, with the pandemic too right now, a lot of people know about the Navajo Nation because we have the highest numbers, but that also brought people awareness about the Navajo Nation with no running water, no electricity. A lot of people in this, world right now in the United States don't realize that there are families that are living without these luxuries in our lives, and, they didn't know about it. And so to bring that awareness about Navajo culture to people's lives and their homes, to be able to educate them, is something very unique and powerful. So what goes into that is they do their own research on who we are as Diné people, as Navajo people, as Native American people. So I think that impacts the world as well. But the one thing with medical sides of things that I always heard about and I don't like is a lot of disparities, health disparities, death and dying, high rates of diabetes, all of these kind of, obesity. There's a lot of different pieces that, a lot of people see that Native Americans fall in that category. But what they don't see is the culture and the traditions that also go along with it in our history of how we got here, how that happened. The influences of like I have in my other thing is the long walk, of them trying to remove us from our homelands and put us somewhere else, displacing us from our own homelands and our culture. But to be perseverance and still being here today and being empowered is a whole nother thing that really helps us as Indigenous women and Indigenous people, that no matter what they tried to do, of beating the Indian and trying to keep the man in there, definitely didn't work. We're still here. We still have our culture and our traditions. Right. And it's up to us, it's actually up to each and every one of us to revitalize and keep those culture and knowledge. Every time I tell the youth, if you have an elderly that is still living and they have time to talk about a story with you, sit there and listen, put away your electronics and listen to them, because only that one time will they tell you that story. And only that one time you will have that chance to remember it and pass that on later on in the future generations. So, yeah, and I think a lot of that is very empowering to each and every one of us.
Right. And now it's a time of heal the Indian and save the land. That's where we're at. So we've taken that that motto and turned it on its head today. And I really want to thank you, Kansas, for your time tonight, and your beautiful voice, and sharing that with us and sharing about Navajo culture with so many. And I want to invite everyone to get a hold of Kansas. Look for her on her Facebook page. She's also on Instagram. Look for her music on YouTube and other places. Google KANSAS Begay and see what you come up with. I've already done it. I didn't find anything bad, Kansas.
Oh, yeah. No, I was Miss Indian World already. So whatever anything was, nope.
Nope.
I'm good.
She's a very strong woman, and I hope to be seeing you soon, either it sounds like possibly politics, community work, and maybe some songwriting.
Yes, I really agree with that. And I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys. I do, like I said, do a lot of Zoom talks, performances for the youth. I still do those online. If those of you that are interested, you guys can contact me on my Facebook site. So just let me know. So I do have CDs for sale still too. So if you guys are willing and want to, just go ahead and send me a message and I can get with you and see how we can ship it out. All right.
And if you can't find Kansas, I know her Gmail address. So let me know and I'll put you in touch with her.
Yes. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Kansas. Have a beautiful night and a beautiful week. And I will keep it close to my heart about walking in a beauty way.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Yes. Oh, what a great show. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. It is Women's History Month, and next week we'll be bringing you some more wonderful women. I hope you'll walk in a beauty way this week, and also hashtag Heal the Indian, Save the Land, I think is a great place to end our show tonight. That's the direction where we're going, and I hope we're all going to take that direction together. Next week, we're going to be doing a little book review. So we're going to be introducing you to a new book that's written by a wonderful Native American woman author, and I hope to have you join us then. Don't forget that the Red Hoop Talk is brought to you by the Association on American Indian Affairs, the oldest nonprofit serving Indian country. And let's see what else. Oh, yeah, what I always forget, please go to our YouTube page. Leave comments on the shows that you watch. Tell us if you like them. Tell us if you didn't like them. We're happy to hear good or bad comments. Let us know if you'd like us to do anything in particular with our Red Hoop Talk show. And in April, you may see some different formats for our Red Hoop Talk time together. Go to YouTube, subscribe, leave comments, and we'll see you next Sunday on Red Hoop Talk. Good night.